I woke up one morning, checked my phone, and I see headlines everywhere saying Steve Harvey done became Muslim, and I just sat there like, Lord, what did I do this time? Now look, I get it. I've been talking about Islam a lot lately, and every time a brother from the nation says something wise, or I quote something from the Quran, people think I done switch teams, but let me tell you something, man. This ain't about switching teams. This is about searching for truth. See, people forget I've been on this spiritual journey. For years, I've had money. I've had fame. I've been on the top of the mountain and in the bottom of the valley. And let me tell you, when you hit that valley, you start looking for something real. I remember one time I was sitting alone after a show, and this young Muslim brother came up to me. He said, Mr. Harvey, can I pray for you? And I said, well, go on ahead, son. He lifted his hands, whispered a dua, and I didn't understand a word he said, but when he finished, I felt peace, real peace, the kind that don't come from applause or money, and that's when I realized faith don't need a name tag. Truth don't care what label you wear. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a man who loves Jesus, always have, but I've learned enough to know that Muslims love him too, maybe, even more than some church folks I know, and that right there, that humbled me. See, I grew up thinking Islam was something foreign, something distant, but the more I listened, the more I studied, the more I sat with Muslim folks, I saw faith, discipline, peace, and I started asking myself, how come the people we think are so different got the same values we keep preaching on Sunday? Let me tell you something, when I see a man stop what he's doing 5 times a day, just to bow his head and say, God, you still in control, I can't hate on that you ever seen the whole city pause. For prayer, I saw that in Dubai, the call to prayer echo through there and everything. Got still no honking horns, no rushing people, just peace. And I thought, man, imagine if we had that kind of discipline back home. Imagine if we paused the chaos to remember who made us. So yeah, when people ask me, Steve, you converting, I say, I'm converting every day to a better version of myself. I'm learning from Christians, I'm learning from Muslims. I'm learning from anybody who walks with God that don't make me confused, that make me awake. I had a pastor friend call me, all serious, Steve, they say you done gone. Muslim man, what's happening? I told him, brother, if you actually sat down and talked with a Muslim, you'd realize they pray more than we gossip, and we both cracked up, because truth is we spend too much time defending our religions and not enough time living them. What I've seen in Islam is a kind of humility the world forgot, the kind that says I ain't God, but I know who is. That's what moves me. That's what I respect. And if me saying that makes people wonder if I'm Muslim, then maybe that says more about them than it does about me. You know, sometimes God don't change your religion, he just expands your vision. He lets you see. That truth ain't trapped in one building, one book, or one people. It's everywhere, in every heart that sincerely seeks him. So no, I didn't wake up one day and become Muslim. I woke up one day and started listening, really listening, and maybe for the first time in my life, I started hearing God through different accents, and he sound beautiful in every language. I ain't out here trying to start no new religion. I'm just a man who realized that when someone bows their head to the same God you pray to, maybe you ain't enemies after all. You know, I've been in show business for a long time. I done seen bright lights, big crowds, money. That'll make your head spin, but let me tell you something, man, all that glitters don't mean peace. You can be the loudest person in the room and still hear that quiet voice in your chest saying something's missing, and that's exactly what happened to me. Now, I always been a man of faith, ain't never been shy about that, but faith, it grows, and sometimes it grows in places you ain't expected. I started talking with some Muslim brothers, good men, humble, soft-spoken, not trying to sell me nothing. They just say things that hit my heart. One day, one of them said, Brother Steve, do you know what the word Islam means? I said, yeah, I heard it means peace. He smiled, said, close, it means submission, but through that submission comes peace. And that sat with me because all my life I've been fighting for control of my career, control of my image, control of what people say about me, but control is an illusion. And the more I fought, the more I realized peace ain't in control, it's in surrender. I remember sitting on my porch one evening, sun going down sky, looking like a watercolor painting, and I started thinking about all the stuff I'd done. Chase fame, respect, validation, all of it, and I realized I've been chasing what Muslims call dunya, the world, the temporary things, the ones that fade faster than your phone battery. But then I looked at my wife, thought about my grandkids, and said if I died tonight, what would I really take with me? Not a car, not a trophy, not a check, just my deeds, just what I did for other people, that's it, and that's the same thing the Quran teaches. Now listen, I didn't have to read Arabic. To get the message, it was like God was talking in plain English. Steve, what you do for others, that's what you keep, and that shook me because I realized maybe my jokes, my laughter, maybe God used all that to give someone relief on a hard day. That's service, that's worship, that's faith. Let me tell you where it got real. I was in South Africa a few years back. I'm sitting in the hotel lobby early morning and I see this young Muslim man, maybe in his 20s. He lays out a small mat in the corner, didn't care who was watching. He faced a direction and prayed. And man, I ain't never seen peace like that, no. Distraction, no rushing. He was talking to God like it was just the two of them, and something in me just broke, and I thought, when was the last time I prayed like that? No cameras, no audience, just me and my creator. That was the moment I stopped judging Islam and started listening to it. People think Islam is about rules. Nah, it's about reminders. You forget it reminds. You fall, it lifts you. That's what touched me because I've been falling my whole life, but every time I got back up, that's grace, and grace don't belong to one religion. Grace is God's language. Some folks around me got nervous. Steve, don't go too deep in that. Muslim stuff, people gonna start talking. I said, brother, they've been talking since and I'm still here. What I admire most about Islam is accountability. They live like God is watching right now, not out of fear, but out of love. They don't pray because they scared of God. They pray because they miss God, and that line hit me deep. I met an older Muslim man in Chicago. Small grocery store, worked 16 hours a day. I asked him, brother, how you keep going? He said, because when I close my eyes at night, I want my Lord to be pleased. Simple. No sermon, no drama. Just love. That's when I realized religion ain't supposed to separate us, it's supposed to remind us we all belong to the same source. You know the Quran says to you, be your religion, and to me, mine. That ain't division, that's respect, and I wish more of us lived like that. I've seen folks with crosses act like devils and Muslims with beards shine like angels. It ain't about the label, it's about the life. Islam honoring women changed. Me too, that verse about paradise beneath the feet of your mother. That's deep, that's real honor made. Me call my mama just to say thank you. So yeah, when people ask, Steve, are you Muslim now? I say, I'm a man walking toward God with an open heart. If that looked like Islam to you, then maybe we not as different as we think. Let me tell you what's changed. I don't chase peace no more, I practice it. When I wake up, I thank God. When I eat, I thank God. When I laugh, I thank God. When I cry, I thank God too. That's Islam, that's Christianity, that's life. Because gratitude is a real religion. I ain't claiming perfection, man. I'm just trying to stay close to the one who made me, and if listening to Muslims helped me do that, maybe that's what God wanted. When folks said Steve Harvey converted to Islam, I just smiled because people talk before they understand. But if your faith can't stand beside another without breaking, maybe it ain't faith. I realize God don't belong to any religion, we belong to Him. I grew up in church, my grandma made sure of that, but faith ain't routine, faith is relationship, and that's what I saw in Islam. They live like God is right there. In the room, every move, every bite, every breath has purpose. I'm not saying I changed religions, but I did change how I see God. God ain't just my Sunday visit, He's my Monday problem. Solver, my Tuesday reminder, my Wednesday. Peacekeeper, my Thursday strength, my Friday. Forgiveness. My Saturday reset, that's daily faith. One Muslim brother said, Steve, Islam ain't about perfection. It's about sincerity, and that touched me because I ain't ever been perfect, but I've always been sincere. When Muslims bow touching their heads to the ground, I don't see ritual, I see surrender. I see a heart saying, God, I ain't in control, you are, and that's beautiful. The Day of Judgment, man. Islam describes it in a way that shakes you standing alone, with your creator, no fame, no money. Just your deeds that'll sober you up real quick. I ain't changing my name or wearing a tee, but I am changing how I move. I talk softer, I listen longer. I think before I speak, because silence can be worship too. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said the best of you are those who are best to their families. That hit me hard because I can make the world laugh, but if I ain't good to my wife and kids, I failed. So when they ask, Steve, are you Muslim? I say, if being Muslim means bowing to the God who lifted me, forgave me, carried me, then maybe I've been Muslim all along, because Islam ain't foreign. It's faith with discipline, love with action. I had a moment on set, one day, lights, cameras everywhere. I looked in the mirror and asked, Steve, if this all ended today, would you be proud? And a voice in me said, you, getting closer, not perfect, not holy, just closer. And that's all God. Ever wanted progress, not perfection. Blogs can say Steve Harvey converted to Islam. Let me clear this, I didn't convert. I expanded my heart, my respect, my understanding. Call me Christian, call me curious, call me confused, as long as I call on God, and good God won't ask what religion you claimed, he gonna ask how you lived. If a Muslim prays 5 times and I pray once, I ain't judging him, I'm learning from him. If a Christian loves Jesus so much it makes him serve the poor, I ain't competing, I'm walking beside him. Truth don't divide, it multiplies. Heaven ain't gonna have a sign saying, Muslims this way, Christians that way. It's just souls, sincere, humble, grateful, finally meeting the one they've been searching for. And when I stand before God, I don't want him to ask, what religion were you? I want him to ask, what did you learn about me? Maybe I didn't become Muslim, maybe I just stopped being blind, because the more I see, the more I realize every sincere heart is already bowing. If that's shocking, then the world still ain't ready for a man who loves God more than labels. I've been misunderstood my whole life, and God's been understanding me the whole time, and that's enough. At the end of the day, religion, and the question is, did you love, did you learn, did you try?